Tractate Sanhedrin, page Tzadik Zayin Amud Bet, 97b. And it says as follows: Shalach leRav Hanan bar Chalifta leRav Yosef. A discussion between two rabbis. So Rabbi Hanan, the son of Chalifta, sent a message to Rav Yosef, and he says, I was walking on the path and I bumped into a certain individual that caught my attention because he was holding a parchment, a Megillah, in his hand. And he looked Jewish, he had a Jewish look, and the holding of the Megillah in his hand caught my attention, and I asked what it says in this parchment, in this Megillah letter. And when he approached this individual, he told him, like, what is your business here? He says, Lechilot shel Romi niskarti. I was hired by the army of Romi. In this case, when it's talking about Romi, it's talking about the Vatican. It's talking about exactly how it sounds, Rome. And he says that this parchment, this Megillah, uven ginzei Romi metzatia. I went into the dungeon, basements. I mean, what's going on underneath the Vatican? What's going on underneath there? What do they have stored there? So this guy says that he found this Megillah, this letter, in what he says, uven ginzei Romi. Ginzei means in the very things that are very hidden. It can be like a room behind a wall. You come, you touch the wall, it opens up a secret door, you go into some passage. That's how it all in there. And he found it there. And it says as follows, וכתוב בה, לאחר 4,291 שנה לבריאת העולם, העולם יתום, מהן מלחמות תנינים, מהן מלחמות גוג ומגוג. It says, I found it in the hidden places of Romi, and this is what it says in there. After 4,000 years and 291 years to the creation of the world will be an orphan. And then it says in a very unclear way, mehen milchamot taninim. There's going to be wars of tanin. Now, if you're going to the commentary, Rashi says on taninim, one word, dagim, fish. Oh, the fish are going to start fighting. But Rashi sometimes says things in a very unclear way. So if you're going to another commentary, the Maharsha says milchamot akum elu be'elu. The nations who are idolaters, who believe in the stars and other things, they will fight each other. Oh, so they will be fighting with each other. Mesachsech Mitzrayim b'Mitzrayim, and we're just going to sit like this. They'll fight with them, they'll fight with them. Okay, that's what the Maharsha says. Interesting a commentary on the Rashi. It says umot al hamayim, or it says malchuyot al hamayim. Who are these nations that are going to fight each other? The nations who dwell or live on water. So who's like on water? It can be North Korea. That's pretty close to the water. The United States. Whatever nation that they have. The commentary says nations that have a lot of army on the water. So that also can be the United States, can be Russia, can be Iran. How many nations we have that, China has the biggest navy. They have even a bigger navy than everybody. Maybe the war is going to be on the water. Now, it says as follows. When it says Olam Yatom, the world is going to be in a state of orphan. So there's a commentary called Yad Ramah, and it says as follows. This is by Abulafia, a famous rabbi, Meir Halevi Abulafia. She'aba b'bayit ha'yeladim mefachdim. When a father is in the home, the kids are afraid. When I leave the home now, my kids, they trash the entire house. I just walk in, he did it. When my wife wants to order in the house, she calls me. I'm like, what do you want from me? No, they're afraid of you. So not that I'm some scary tyrant, but that's how it should be. And that's what he says. When the father's at home, the kids are afraid. What is he basically saying in other words? That we don't have real leaders. A leader is David HaMelech. Moshe Rabbeinu, that's a leader. Not some psychotic psychopaths. What we see now are running the world. Those are not leaders. So he's basically saying, this is again commentary in the Yad Ramah by the Abarbanel, Rabbi Meir Halevi, and he says, En manhigim. When it's saying Haolam Yatom, when the world is in a state of an orphan. Now, interestingly, when it says about the Milchamot Taninim, so I told you, Rashi says Dagim, maybe nations we have a lot of army on the water. The Maharsha says nations are going to fight each other. The Zohar says something very interesting. And this can be found in two places. In Zohar Parashat Bo, page 34, and in Zohar Parashat Truma, page 176. The Zohar says that the Milchemet HaTaninim is the war between the Samech Mem and his wife Lamed Yud Lamed Yud Taf. How is the war going to happen? The Samech Mem, there are 4 women, I don't have to call them women, but there are 4 females. One of them is known, everybody knows her, Lamed Yud Lamed Yud Taf. We don't mention her name. But the other one, her name is Naamah. And the Zohar says that the Samech Mem is going to go with Naamah, which is going to cause a fight between the Samech Mem and his wife. And that's the war that it's referring to. That's actually how it's going to happen. Because right now we have a bunch of psychopaths running the world, but Hashem is going to make that they can't stand each other. And they're going to go against each other. Now, what happens when they're fighting against each other? Person A will throw all the garbage in public about person B. He'll throw back, and then we're just going to sit and they're all going to fight with each other. Where is it going to start? From the head. Samech Mem and Lamed Yud Taf are going to fight with each other. Lamed Yud Taf, we don't say the name, we just spell it Lilit, the wife of the Samech Mem, and they're going to fight. So Hashem is going to cause between them an argument, and when they fight, they will bring their own downfall. Interestingly, it says something here again, and this is a commentary, because this encounter was before the destruction of the temple. And it says in the Talmud, Lo nitmalet tzor ela michurbana shel Yerushalayim. The city of Tzor does not get built rather from the rumbles and the shatters and the broken parts of Yerushalayim. Now, who is this Tzor that it's talking about? It's talking about Rome, the Vatican. This can be found in Tractate Megillah, page 6. So, the building of the Vatican is dependent on the destruction of Yerushalayim. And it says, Lo charva Yerushalayim ele churbana shel Tzor, talking about Rome. When the Vatican came up, then Yerushalayim was destroyed. There it says over there in the Talmud, these are the two main cities. And by the way, don't kid yourself for 1 second. Entity that is controlling our country is the Vatican. By the way, not the Israeli government, not the Knesset. That's just a puppet. This is all show. Really, who's controlling this country is the Vatican. With everything that has to do around it, with all the branches where it goes to. We are not controlling nothing here. But the fight is between these two big cities. So when one city is down, the other will be strong. It says in the same place in the Talmud, and then in a few other places, that if somebody tells you both cities are bnuyot, are built, al ta'amin. Both cities are destroyed, al ta'amin. Al ta'amin, don't believe. Saying in other words, as long as the Vatican is up, the Yerushalayim is going to be destroyed. If the Yerushalayim is built, that's the power of the entire world. That's why the war is constantly on Yerushalayim. Because they know that's where the control is. And already they're taking over many parts of Yerushalayim, especially the Kever David, the tomb of David. They, in a very malicious, evil way, took over the grave of King David in order to dig out the bones, to take DNA samples so they can shove Q-tips in the nose of the entire world to get DNA samples from everybody to try to track where's Mashiach and who's Mashiach. Because they know Mashiach comes from the house of David, and if they can get DNA samples, they can narrow down who's the Mashiach and kill him before he comes to redeem the world. That's one out of the many reasons. Don't put these Q-tips up your nose. Besides the fact that the junk that's in the Q-tip is an actual vaccine, and don't think, it's just a Q-tip in my nose. Don't put it in your nose. Don't put anything in your body. Nobody needs to check you. The biggest hoax ever, that I'm totally healthy and I need to be checked if I'm sick. It's unheard of. You know what I mean? But anyways, so we had Milchemet Taninim, the war of the Taninim. So again, we have one commentary by Rashi, nations that have a very strong navy, that the war is going to be on the water. And we see that. We see now the Russian army, 140 ships on the ocean, going like a mafia. Here we are. And then, so the Chinese come with their ship. The Americans are moving every time there's some threat, so they're sending the aircraft carrier. Another commentary, the nations who are idolaters that will fight against each other. Now, very interestingly, I'm just telling you as what I take from the commentary of the Marsha. He says, Ovdei umot shel ovdei kochavim umazalot, nations who are idolaters. So that doesn't include the Arabs, because they believe in God. They don't believe in idols. So that can only be something like America and Russia. Cannot be any Arab or Muslim country, because they don't believe in idols or false gods. They believe in God. Now, there's another commentary in a book called Afikei Yam. Doesn't matter the translation, but the translation is the path, or maybe the channels of the ocean. It's irrelevant. It's just the name of the book. He says there, Milchemet Taninim, Ishmael ve'Esav. The war between two great nations. One of them is Ishmael, one of them is Esav. Ishmael will be the Muslims, Esav will be the Christians. And this is another commentary. We have another commentary by the Abarbanel. Very, very amazing commentary, what he says. And he says he wrote a lot of books about the redemption. Unbelievable information. I wouldn't even say commentary. I would even say prophecies, even though you can't say there was a prophet, but with no doubt had Ruach HaKodesh, divine inspiration. So he says something as follows in the book Ma'anei Yeshua. He says, Gog, he's talking about Gog, we're trying to figure out who's Gog, right? Hem Ishmaelim, these are Arabs, Muslims, שבאו על ירושלים פעמיים, that came on Jerusalem twice already, ובפעם השלישית יבואו על הנוצרים, and in the third time, they're going to come against the Christians, המחזיקים את ירושלים, that have control and position over Yerushalayim. So he's saying, you want to know who Gog is? Who's this nation? It's Ishmaelim, and again, it's not accurate to say Muslim, Arabs. Ishmaelim is the sons of Ishmael, which of course can be somewhere in our generation around a Muslim nation. But he says that this is a nation that already came twice on Yerushalayim. Came twice means came to war. Whether won or conquered, it's irrelevant. But twice came to war in Yerushalayim, and the third time against the Christians who are controlling Yerushalayim. Specifically, Har HaBayit. Har HaBayit is Temple Mount. So we think right now that we have control of Har HaBayit. We don't. I mean, you can't even go up there. You can if you want to get into a confrontation. And then it seems like maybe the Arabs are in control of Har HaBayit. But underneath the surface, who's controlling Har HaBayit is the Vatican. These are the Christians that he's talking about, that the Ishmaelim are going to come against them on war.